Okay, so good evening once again, and welcome to our Wednesday Creative Living series. I'm so glad you are here, not just because it's midweek and we all need to pause from the rush of life, but because this time we share each week is divine, is special, is beautiful. It's a reminder that no matter what's happening around us, we can come home to ourselves, to our inner truth, to the peace that is always within. There is peace within. Tonight's lesson is titled Beyond Distorted Face. We want to go beyond that distorted face. It might sound unusual at first, but by the end of the evening, you will see how deeply it speaks to the human journey, to your journey, to my journey. We all look in mirrors every day, sometimes for a quick check before we leave the house, and other times to search for signs of change, or tiredness, or confidence, for whatever reason. But the kind of mirror we are talking about tonight isn't made of glass. It's the mirror of our mind, the reflection of our beliefs, our self-image, and our consciousness. That's the mirror we want to talk about tonight. There are moments in life when that inner mirror becomes distorted, not because we've changed at our core, but because our perception has changed. Because the way we see things and from where we see things have changed. And when perception bends, reflection breaks. The face we see isn't the truth of who we are. It's the echo of how we are choosing to look. How we are choosing to look. So a distorted face doesn't mean a damaged face. It simply mirrors a moment when our perception has shifted away from truth. That time when you decided to magnify fear in your mind instead of faith. And so tonight we are going to look at what happens when life's experiences twist the reflection we see, and how to restore the clear, radiant image of who we really are. I have a radiant image. I am whole. I am complete. We want to restore ourselves to that original setting. Sometimes in life, we look at ourselves through distorted reflections, not the truth of who we are, but the version shaped by fear, doubt, or past experiences. It's like standing before a mirror that twists our image, making us believe we are less capable, less worthy, or less beautiful than we really are. Think about the last time you stood in front of one of those funny carnival mirrors that bend and stretch your reflection. In one mirror, your face might look long and wobbly. In another, it's wide and flat. That's the mirror that lies. The one that shows us warped version of ourselves and convinces us it's real. You know you don't really look that way, you know that for sure. But if you stared long enough, you know what happens? Your mind could almost start to believe it. In the same way, life has its mirrors, experiences, opinions, and beliefs that can distort how we see ourselves. Maybe someone told you years ago that you weren't good enough. And that word still within you, reflecting. Maybe you failed at something and decided that that meant you weren't worthy of success. Because a particular time in life you tried something, maybe once, maybe so many times, and you decided to just mirror that, to align with that. Maybe your childhood, culture, or past experience, relationships painted a version of you that wasn't true. Yet over time, you accepted it as the real image because you probably were in that situation for a long time. That's what a distorted face is. Not your true self, but a reflection that's been twisted by pain, by fear, by guilt, by shame, or limitation. I just remembered something. I wish I thought about it before the lesson. But there's been a research that says if someone is been in poverty over a long time, it begins to affect the cells or the gene. But that is not the original structure of life, of spirit. And the longer we stay into that false reflection, the harder it becomes to remember what's real. Because we swim and dine in guilt. And you just assume that's how life is supposed to be. But beyond that distorted reflection, there is another image, the original one, the true self. At the very beginning of everything, before opinions, failures, or trauma, there was you, the pure, radiant whole. It says, made you, me, made in the image and likeness of God. That's what Genesis says. Maybe one of the things we will have to do will be to interpret that to ourselves. What does being made in the image and likeness of God, of spirit, mean to you? Does it mean abundance? Does it mean right thinking? Does it mean good and greater good? Does it mean wholeness? So this means that that doesn't mean made to look like a physical being. It means we are expressions of divine life itself, with creativity, with intelligence, love, power, and peace. This is what we are in our very essence, deep within. You were created in the perfect image of wholeness. Nothing that has ever happened to you can change that image. So every other thing showing in your life, they are illusions. They are false. And we know how to treat those things, push it to the nothingness where they belong. But what can happen is that you stop recognizing the essence of who you are. Imagine a mirror that gets covered with dust, fingerprints, and fog. That reflection becomes dull. But if you wipe it clean, you realize the original mirror was never damaged. It was only covered. Likewise, your soul's reflection has never been broken. It just needs clearing. And we know the image of perfection is hidden behind the veil of imperfection. And what do? We lift the veil and the image is revealed. And that's what our classes are here for. We learn how to lift that veil, to remove everything that's covered our mirror. There are many things that can distort our self-perception. And here are a few of those most common ones. And as we discuss this, notice which one you might relate to now. So we get rid of it. They are the negative words and beliefs. When you hear words like, you'll never make it, you are not enough, or you are too much, and you start to believe them, those words become a filter on your inner mirror. I mean, we say we are practitioners. Sometimes we hear things, words spoken, that, and that you know that is not the truth of who you are. And what do? Do you reject it? Or do you allow it to go in and settle? Each belief bends the truth a little more until you begin to see yourself through someone else's limitations. Then we have the unhealed pain. Sometimes painful experiences, rejection, loss, or betrayal leave invisible marks on how we see ourselves. When those wounds remain unhealed, they quietly shape our self-image, especially when we constantly see those scars, unhealed wounds. And what they do is that they whisper lies that we are not enough, not loved, and somehow broken. Without realizing it, we begin to view life through the lens of that pain rather than through the truth of who we are. And again, that's why it's so important for us to always hear these lessons. Because all it does is to remind us of who we are. So we keep steering ourselves to the direction we are going. Over time, that pain can cause us to shrink. It leaves behind emotional imprints that whisper, don't trust again, or you are not safe. Those quiet messages begin to shape how we see or show up in the world, distorting not only our emotions, but even our expressions. Have you ever noticed how someone's face can harden after years of bitterness or soften after years of peace? What happens inside us always finds a way to show itself on the outside. Then we have comparison, which is one of the quietest thieves of peace. We live in a world obsessed with appearance, performance, and approval. Everywhere we turn, we are shown images of success, of beauty, of happiness, of what happiness should look like. Again, we have social media often magnifies this illusion. When we scroll through perfect pictures, silently measuring our worth against someone else's highlight reels. Sometimes we even post things and we place our worth by the likes we get. Nobody likes me. A few people like this. Yet the truth is, comparing yourself to others is like comparing two mirrors. Each one reflects a different reality. No two reflections are ever the same because no two souls are here to live the same story. You have your journey, I have mine. And then there is the heaviness that follows many of us quietly, very quietly, subtly, guilt and shame. You know what? Guilt whispers, I did something wrong. Shame declares, I am something wrong. And when we internalize shame, we begin to see ourselves as unworthy of everything good, of love, of joy, of forgiveness. And that false belief clouds the divine image within us. It hides it behind layers of self-condemnation. And all the I'm not deserving, I'm not good enough. But no matter how many layers there are, the light of who we are remains untouched beneath them, waiting, waiting for you to come back to yourself. There are moments in life when what we feel inside doesn't match what we show on the outside. When something within us feels unsettled, unworthy, we often reach for a mask, a practiced smile, a polite "I'm fine," a calm tone that hides the storm. But pretending doesn't heal the distortion. It only covers it for a while. We master that act. We wear masks for many reasons: to protect ourselves, to be accepted, to appear strong. Because it feels good. You appear strong and cover up what's going on inside. Yeah, the longer we wear them, the easier it is to forget what our true face looks like. Not the physical one, but the spiritual one beneath all the layers. The one untouched by fear, pain, or expectation, that deep within. Healing begins the moment we stop hiding, when we're there to look in the mirror with honesty and say, "This is me, I am enough," irrespective of what is before me. At first, the truth can feel raw, even uncomfortable. But as the pretense falls away, what happens is that clarity begins to surface. What once looked broken begins to appear whole again. Then the mirror of spirit can only reflect truth when we are willing to be real. When we are willing to be real and not cover ourselves with masks. When we stop performing and start being, we discover that the face looking back has always been worthy, just waiting to be seen. There's a story told of a blind man who, after surgery, regained his sight for the first time in years. And when they removed the bandages, he said softly, "Everything is too bright." It took him time to adjust his eyes to the light. That's what it's like when you start to see yourself through your spiritual eyes. At first, the light of truth feels uncomfortable. You might resist it. It's the same feeling people have when something beautiful or unexpected happens and they say, "This is too good to be true." They reject the good and say things like, "I hope it lasts. I hope it's not a flash in the pan," because we are used to the distortion. Without the goodness, because we are not yet used to seeing ourselves as worthy of the good. But gradually, as you keep practicing, you adjust. And what once looked distorted begins to come into focus. Again, it brings the truth that we are all practitioners. We keep practicing. It's not a one-time thing. The brightness that once felt overwhelming becomes natural, and you realize it was never too good to be true. It was simply you seeing yourself as God, as Spirit always has. Pure, radiant, and whole. Another thing that would help us align with this will always imagine, how does God's Spirit see me? Can I align myself to that image the Spirit has of me? Of complete, of whole, being whole, abundant. It's recognizing that your value doesn't come from what people think of you, how successful you are, or how perfectly your life is arranged. It comes from who you are as a spiritual being. You are again the expression of divine life itself. That's a powerful affirmation. I am expression of divine life. And what does that mean? You are love. And the life is flowing as you. And no distortion can change that. No situation, none not created, can change the image of spirit in you. Let's look at how to clear the mirror. When the mirror of our perception becomes clouded by fear, doubt, old stories, we don't need to search for a few reflections. We need to clean the one we already have. The truth of who we are has never left us. It's just been hidden beneath layers of misunderstandings, of fears, of worries. The good news is that the clarity can always be restored. It can always be restored. And here are some simple, powerful ways to clear the mirror and see through the eyes of truth again. Pause and notice. Awareness is where transformation begins. Before we can change how we see ourselves, we want to notice what we are seeing. What are you seeing? Pay attention to the words you whisper inside. The inner dialogue. Are they kind? Are they critical? Every thought is like a handprint on the mirror of your mind. When you catch yourself saying, I can't, I'm not enough, or it's too late, pause and gently. Don't fight the thought. You may breathe and choose again and replace it with truth. I am learning. I am growing. I am unfolding as many times as possible. Pay attention, I like to say this again, pay attention to the words that you whisper inside. That inner dialogue, the internal dialogue. Are they good? Are they uplifting? Every thought is like a handprint on the mirror of the mind. And when you catch yourself saying, I can't, it's not possible, I'm doomed, I'm damned, it's too late, I want to pause gently and don't fight the thoughts. But you can choose again. You can replace those thoughts and change those thoughts. All things are possible because I believe. I am one with this power, so I can do all things. Every time you do this, the fog begins to lift. Over time, your inner voice becomes softer, wiser, and more aligned with love. It's practice. Then we want to release false stories. Many of the things we believe about ourselves were never truly ours to begin with. They came from voices we trusted. Maybe family, parents, teachers, or culture that taught us who we should be. But every belief is just a story we've agreed to tell. Every belief is just a story you've agreed to tell, or you've aligned with, or you've taken. Ask yourself, who told me this? And is it actually true? Is it true? You may discover that you were being You have been carrying narratives that no longer serve you, stories of limitations, of unworthiness, of fear. And when you let them go, it's like opening a window in a room that's been closed for too long. Fresh air rushes in, and suddenly you can see yourself in a new light, not as damaged. Then we want to forgive ourselves. Forgiveness is the soft cloth that restores the mirror to its shine, gently wiping away the residue of guilt, shame, or self-blame that has dimmed our inner light. Each act of forgiveness clears another layer of misunderstanding, and it allows love, compassion, and truth to shine through once more. When you forgive yourself, you stop agreeing to see yourself through the eyes of guilt and regret. And again, you are no longer holding yourself hostage to what you didn't know then. And this is another strong one. We just hold ourselves hostage because of what happened, because of guilt, of shame. You are honoring who you are becoming now. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It reinterprets it through compassion. It says, I did the best I could with what I knew, and now I choose peace. I'm choosing better. I know better. That choice alone allows the light of truth to pour in. In that light, you realize you were never broken. You were always growing, always raising your consciousness, always aligning with this truth. Then we want to speak affirmative words. Words shape the world you live in. They carry power. They have creative energy. The words that you speak. Every word you speak sets something in motion. Every word you speak sets something in motion. In a very real way, your words are like two-edged sword. They cut through confusion and limitation, bringing clarity and change. The words that you speak. Once spoken, your words don't just disappear. They go out into the universe and start working to bring your intentions to life. Yes, that word that you speak, the words that you speak, they go into the universe and start working to bring what you have spoken to life. When you speak with love, truth, confidence, you begin to clear the mirror of your mind until it reflects the one you are one with. You start to see yourself as spirit sees you. You're whole, you are capable, you're full of possibility. Again, affirmations aren't just nice sayings. They're not just nice, pleasant statements. They are living truths that reshape how you think and feel. Each time you speak them, you are planting seeds of truth that grow into confidence, that grow into anything you have spoken. So why don't we use our words enough? If we get into a situation, suddenly we speak damnation, we speak negativity. I mean, it's not okay, but when we recollect and realign with ourselves, we want to speak the truth, speak peace. Use your words like we tell the children. Use your words. They are powerful. Use them. Use them. You'll be amazed what would happen. As simple as, it's a good day. Speaking things into being. It's a good day. Things are lining for my good. Peace be still. Create with your words. Then spend time in silence. Silence helps us see clearly again. It brings calm and clears the mental clutter. An old saying reminds us silence is not empty, it's full of answers. In stillness, we begin to see beyond the surface, beyond fear, comparison, or striving into the calm center of truth. The mystic Mr. Eckhart said, "Nothing in all creation is so like God as stillness." Nothing is so like God as stillness. Just one moment of stillness, of calmness, of quietness can reveal the direction we've been looking for. It's in that stillness that clarity returns and the heart remembers what the noise made us to forget. If you want to know, you be still and know. Whether through meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply sitting under the open sky, allow yourself moments of sacred quietness, or just be quiet. Just be quiet. The healing you're looking for may just be one moment of stillness, one moment of being calm. Again, the poet Rumi wrote, "The quieter you become, the more you can hear." In that silence, you will sense something deeper, a gentle awareness that does not judge or demand, but simply is. That's your true reflection, radiant, steady, and eternal. In quietness and in confidence is your strength. Again, sometimes all we need is just one moment to be still. Just one moment. Let's put this as one of our practices, to be still, to calm down. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Let us be silent that we may hear the whisper of God." Let me share a story of a broken mirror. A teacher once had a small round mirror in her classroom. She used it to remind students to look at themselves with love. One day, a student accidentally dropped it and it shattered into several pieces. The teacher carefully picked up the fragments and said, "It's still a mirror." The reflection was fragmented, yes, but each piece still reflected light. Then she placed the pieces together on a board to form a mosaic. When the light from the mirror hit it, the reflection danced around the room, brighter, more colorful than before. The class learned something powerful that day. Even when life shatters us, we still reflect light. Sometimes the brokenness makes the light even more beautiful. That's the same for us. You may look like you once did. You may not look like you once did emotionally, physically, or spiritually, but every part of your journey adds depth and radiance to your reflection. Every part of your journey, your experience, it's all working out for your good. Your distortions can become your depth. Your cracks can become your art. A professional photographer once shared that no matter how good her camera was, if her lens was dirty, the photo would come out blurred. She said the lens decides how reality looks. Our mind is the same way. If the lens is clouded with fear, resentment, or low self-worth, everything we see becomes tinted by that fog. But once we clean the lens through love, through gratitude and awareness, the same world looks radiant. And we'll be seeing the good all the time. The outer picture changes when the lens clears. Sometimes it's not your mirror that's distorted, it's the world reflecting its fear at you. Maybe people misunderstood your kindness as weakness or your confidence as pride. Maybe the media daily projects fear, competition, and division. But you get to decide whose mirror you believe. You get to decide. Is your decision, is entirely your decision, your choice. Decide the mirror you believe, the world's or spirit. When the world says be afraid, spirit says you are safe. And do you affirm that you are safe? When the world says you are not enough, spirit whispers you are my perfect idea in expression. So let's close with this story of the sculptor's secret. A visitor once walked into a sculptor's workshop and saw a huge block of marble in the corner. When he returned months later, he saw a stunning statue standing there, graceful, detailed, alive. He asked the sculptor, "How did you know there was a statue inside that stone?" The sculptor smiled and said, "I didn't add anything. I only removed what didn't belong." That's the spiritual life in one sentence. That's your spiritual life. That's my spiritual life. Removing what does not belong. We don't have to become someone new. We clear what's been blocking the truth of who we are. Peace, love, joy, and wholeness have always been there. We brush off the fear and doubt that covered them, the shame, the guilt, the never-doers that I'm not good enough, the pity you, self-pity. We'll brush it off to reveal what's been inside. Your true self, your divine self, it's already perfect. Your job isn't to fix yourself, it's to remember who you really are. Look again, look deeper, look with love. And when you do, you'll see the truth. You were never broken at all. You've been created whole, complete, lacking nothing. And so it is.